We are loud, obnoxious, and completely inappropriate. Viewer's discretion is strongly advised. Hello everyone and welcome to Camping with Lenny. Today we're going to be doing a review of the Gazelle T4 tent. So, the T4 tent is okay. I don't know where to begin with this one because there's a lot of things I want to talk about this tent. So let's just go through the disclaimer portion of this. I bought this tent with my own money. Gazelle did not send me this. The Gazelle was not involved at all with this review. I bought this tent for my personal use and for me to use. And this is going to be my run-of-the-mill, normal guy review for this tent. So let's go with the tent first. Let's go for the options. So there's variants of this tent. One is the T4 Plus, and the T4 Overland edition. Let's go through the difference. So the T4, the straight T4 is just your basic, your entry-level tent. Your T4 Plus is the same tent footprint, same everything. The only difference is they tacked in another section to make it longer, and that other section is like a shelter. It's literally a very big vestibule slash shelter. The other one is called the Overland edition. The only difference between the original, the entry level, I don't want to keep calling it entry level, but the straightforward T4 is an updated pegs, updated pegs, updated footprint, and updated bag. That's the only difference. That's the only difference. Just the regular tent, the T4 tent, you do have two options. One is the sunset orange, and the other one is called the Alpine green. I personally got the Alpine green. The reason why I got the Alpine green is the color of it. Well, the color is actually very, very nice. The reason why I got the Alpine green instead of the orange is I camp. Majority of the time it's in a wilderness or in a park that's covered with green, and I like to be incognito as much as possible. I don't want something bright to like, hey, there's someone's there. And the Alpine green actually matches the surrounding, right? The orange is bright. It is incredibly bright. You know someone's there because of the tent. Because typically when you get a tent, it's usually dark blue, dark red, and it's very dark colors. But the orange is very, very bright. It's like almost, like traffic cone orange. It's very, very bright, but it's pretty bright. It's a very nice orange though, but it's very bright. So that's your options itself. So I ended up getting the regular T4 and not get the Overland version or the T4 Plus is because of the size of it. The purpose for me getting this tent is to have a tent that I can go solo camping with. I don't want, currently before this tent, I actually have the REI Kingdom 6. They rebranded they redesigned it and call it the Base Camp 6 now, but they're exactly the same tent. Little minor changes. That tent is a beautiful tent. I love that tent, but unfortunately it takes me about half an hour to set up by myself. This one took me about less than 60 seconds to set it up. So that's why I got this tent. So my goal with getting this tent is to get something that's easy to set up by myself, especially if you're going solo, especially car camping. You don't want to spend time setting up your tent. You just want to set up your tent and just call it a day, right? And there's a lot of things you need to get done in your campsite as well too. You don't want to spend too much time setting up your tent. And plus, if it's going to be raining, you want to set up your tent first because that's going to be your shelter as well. So that's why I got this tent. So let's go to let's start talking about the pros and cons. Let's talk about cons first. I think the cons are very interesting in this tent. We'll start with fit and finish on this tent. So the tent itself is actually very nice. It's very neat. It's a very well polished design. The only problem is this: there's patches inside the tent where the hubs meets, where it intersects, and it intersects into into eye bolt, into a bolt that's connected to the outside. So when you pull it, that's where it actually holds, right? Makes sense, no issues there. But here's the problem though. There's a patch on the tent itself supposed to minimize the rubbing between the hub and the material, the tent material. Unfortunately, those patches are not where it's supposed to be. Some of them are very high up, some of them are low, some of them are just off. Some of them are bang on, right? But here's the thing though, this is kind of weird because for a product this kind of for this kind of product, the fit and finish is not there. Very disappointing in fit and finish. Incredibly disappointed. The other one as well too. When I bought the tent a month and a half, 2 months ago, when you set it up, there's actually a net on top of the tent. Inside itself, it's like a storage net. Mine came ripped in the corner. I'm not gonna submit a claim for warranty for the tiny rip, but the good thing for me, I don't use it, so I didn't bother. I don't use it. I just took it out. The first thing I did is took it out and put it in one of the pockets. So that's one. That's two for the fit and finish portion of this. The other one as well too is the lack of a vestibule, or even a lack of extra flap. Right. So the tent itself has two entrances. One is the front, one is the back. It's just adjacent. It's literally like at the other side of the tent. This does not have a vestibule, or even additional material to have a fighting chance to become a vestibule, especially where the doors are. And the reason why I'm saying that is when you go camping, weather is not there all the time. Weather's not going to be cooperating. Sometimes you need to put your shoes outside, especially if it's raining. In this scenario, with this current setup, if you don't get the plus, you don't get that option. If it rains, you bring your shoes in, or your flip-flops or whatever, your shoes into the tent. But unfortunately, it will get dirty inside really fast, right? And people wants to be barefooted and make sure the tent inside is clean, right? So you don't have that. In my old tent, my T4, in my Kingdom 6, I have a vestibule. It was a tiny, tiny vestibule, but it works. It works in a way that if it rains, I put my shoes inside the vestibule, and it's gonna keep dry. If I have wood that I need to keep dry, I put it there. Anything equipment-wise that I need to keep dry, I leave it outside, but I keep it dry out from the elements. In this case, I don't have that option. The only way I can have that option is to upgrade to the T4 Plus, and it's not worth it, right? I thought there's going to be an option to have a vestibule. I'll pay for the option for the vestibule, but there's no options. So now I have to figure out how to hack this in a way that I'll have a vestibule going forward, right? So minor things like that, small things like that will make this tent a lot better than it's supposed to be, where it is now. Okay, that's my cons. Now, let's talk about the pros. Again, for me, the pros outweighs the cons overall. There's no tent or no product that's 100% perfect. And the pros, you just have to look at the pros in a way that it works for you. So let's talk about the pros. I mentioned earlier that the setup itself is the key for me. The setup, it has to be perfect. It has to be fast. It has to be reliable. So, like I mentioned earlier, I had an REI Kingdom 6 tent. It takes me about half an hour to set it up, especially if I'm by myself. 15 minutes if I have another person, but half an hour to set up by myself. And if you're going solo camping, a half an hour to set up yourself for me, is unacceptable. So, because I want to enjoy my time outdoors, I want to enjoy sitting down, having a beer, just relaxing, right? And I don't want to spend half an hour to set up that tent, so that's why the hub style tent was very, very enticing, because you can set it up in less than 60 seconds. Then you can enjoy your camping, right? So with this tent, 60 seconds with the fly on before you pack it, done, I'm happy. Perfect. Okay, that's one. The second one that I was very, very impressed, I'm very, very shocked. I'm not sure if this design or this feature was attention. It was part of it, or it was never been considered it, or anything like that. But the installation value of this tent. Here's a good example. My first camping trip with this tent was back in May. It was cold and raining. It was just miserable. Overall, it was just a very miserable time. And before I went to bed, the temperature did drop to single digit. So I think high was 20 degrees Celsius. It dropped to around 8 degrees Celsius overnight. And it was raining. It's like 100% rain. It's like 100%. It was just rain. It was miserable rain. And what happened is I went inside after dinner. I just stayed inside because it was raining, and I left all the flaps of the windows open to get some cross breeze, so I won't get a little stuffy inside, right? But the crosswind where the windows are located, it got really cold inside the tent really fast. Let's just say the cross breeze was great, but the temperature dropped dramatically. So what I ended up doing is I ended up closing the windows, and the temperature of the tent actually went up. Right, it just literally went up, and it became the point that it was very comfortable to just sit there with the shorts and a sweater, right? It was just very, very comfortable overall, so I was very happy with that. And it was very, very impressed. I'm not sure if it was just an intent of making the tent itself with an R value, or even a 0.1% R value of warmth or like insulation. It makes a big difference while you're camping, right? And I was very, very happy with that. Again, I'm not sure if it's intent, or if it's just by accident, or it's just a thing with the materials that they used, right? But it does have that insulation. I felt like there's an insulation in that, so that's a positive thing. The next one that I want to talk to you about, the positive side or the pros of this tent, is the size of it. I was very shocked how roomy is inside this tent. Like, incredibly, there's a lot of room inside. Like, I'm looking inside my tent right now. I have a cot, I have a side table, like a foldable side table, and a camping chair inside. So it's literally like a living room inside, a sitting area. And from the outside, it doesn't feel like it's a big tent. But when you walk inside, it gives you that massive feel of like room, right? Because there's nothing really bowing inwards. Granted, the wall itself does bow a bit inwards, but it doesn't really like collapse by itself inside, right? So it has that nice open area. It's not like a cathedral style tent, like or a dome style tent. This one is more like a four-sided box, and it does work. It does really, really work. And my next attempt I'm going to try to do with this tent is actually the wife to come with me to go camping and put another cot inside and see how much room we have left. And I got this feeling we're going to have tons of room left if we put another cot inside. So again, this is going to be my primary tent for going forward, but if I need more people are coming with us, then I'll take my REI tent. But for now, this is going to be my main tent. And I'm very, very happy with this tent overall. That was my positive side. Again, overall, if I'm going to give this a score overall, I'll give it a Lenny score. I think I'm gonna make that as a thing, a Lenny score. I'll give this about an 8 out of 10. Reason why is the lack of the vestibule and the fit and finish that I got with this tent. If Gazelle's listening, if you can tell me why those patches are not supposed to be, then I'll let you guys know. Again, the fit and finish part is kind of weirded out. It's not like overall the tent is like gonna fall apart, but it's just minor details like that. It's just incredibly insane to deal with. And the lack of vestibule or a lack of extra flap to have a potential shelter to put your stuff outside and not worry about getting it wet. For now, I'll probably gonna be keeping it as is. If I do decide to put some like a hack together to make this work, it's probably just gonna be a simple tarp. Not too bad though. I really like this form factor. I don't want for me to go to a 4 plus. It just doesn't make any sense it doesn't make sense to me. It's just too big for something that I don't need. So that is my review for the Gazelle T4. Again, I give it 8 out of 10 Lenny score. And again, this is my my go-to tent until this thing dies or if I upgrade. Thanks, guys.